Jerome.
Hey, Cynthia, how's it going?
It's going well. How's your day going?
It's good. First session went well.
Good.
To keep it moving. Let's remember where everything is. There we go. So, where's your name? Oh, there you go. Sorry for the mute. Will you see if you can click through?
Sure. I can't. Oh, wait a minute. There it is.
Oh, I'm gonna listen to the music.
Was that me clicking or you clicking?
What was you clicking?
All right.
Okay. It'll let you click. Will let you click now? I'll switch presentations. Just try one more time, just to be sure. Yep, right there. So you're all set. You good to go, Cynthia?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to start letting everyone.
Okay.
And so this countdown is counting. I'm sorry, I'm just like, so it's counting, but we'll actually start when I say we're getting started. So it's just for you.
All right. We need to go back to slide. It says slide 2. Okay. At some point later, I'm going to reach out to you and ask you how you put the countdown in the presentation.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to session 2 of our 2020 Illinois LGBTQ Business Summit. Super excited to have all of you here with us as we get ready to dive in. Again, as a quick reminder, cameras in this session are welcomed and encouraged, but not required. Please keep your cell phone on mute, however, throughout today's conversation, unless you are given the opportunity to speak. Before we go into our next session, I'd like to give a quick thank you to our Supplier Diversity Committee, and you can see all of those dynamic folks listed here. So huge thank you to John Lashman, Latanya Forte-Laus, Jeff Kessler, and Robin Hicks for their leadership and dedication. So now let's begin. So is certification right for you? This is a question that so many small business owners continue to ask themselves. The easy answer is yes, though the journey is not the same for everyone. With that said, the benefits of certification are limitless in helping your business grow. Certification can be an advantage in seeking exposure to both government, Fortune 500 companies, and collaborative projects to go after larger contracts. Our next session will be led by Cynthia Johnson of the Women's Business Development Center. Cynthia is the Established Business Service Director who leads the programs for established business owners that are looking to increase contract opportunities. Cynthia's specific area of focus includes planning and delivering relevant programs and procurement events with WBDC corporate partners to help women-owned businesses build capacity and sustain profitable growth. She is passionate about utilizing her expertise to accelerate the growth of diverse business owners, of diverse businesses, including more than 30 years of entrepreneurial business experience. With all that said, thank you so much, Cynthia, for joining us today, and I'll turn it over to you to take it from here.
Thank you, Jerome. I appreciate the warm introduction. As Jerome mentioned, I am the Director of Established Business Services with the Women's Business Development Center based in Chicago. I have hands-on experience with leveraging certification because I was a business owner for 30 years. And as an entrepreneur, I was certified both with the Women's Business Development Center as a WBE and also with the Chicago Minority Business Development Center as an MBE. So I was able to utilize my certification and leverage opportunities during that time. So I want to begin with sharing a little bit about the WBDC and our profile. Annually, we certify more than 2,000 WBEs every year, and we have more than 80 local and national corporate partners. We certify in a 9-state Midwest region, which includes Illinois, Wisconsin, Minneapolis, Missouri, Iowa, Nebraska, North and South Dakota. Throughout the year, we provide workshops, seminars, conferences, and networking opportunities so that our WBEs can engage with our corporate partners. Our certified WBEs tend to fall in 5 specific industries: consulting services, construction, manufacturing, professional services, and advertising and marketing. So, give me a second. So, when you are considering if certification is right for you, it's really important to understand how to leverage your certification and who in the marketplace would be looking to work with diverse suppliers. So this slide shows the various categories of certifications that are currently being recognized. Minority certification, that would include people of color, Asian, Black, Hispanic, or Native American. And the national certification organization that you would go to find more information about diverse certification as a minority would be the National Minority Supplier Council. When it comes to women, the national recognized certifying agency is WBENC, or the Women's Business Enterprise National Council. And the WBDC is part of the WBENC national organization. The WBDC is the largest and most established regional partner organization of the Women's Business Enterprise National Council. There's also a category for disabled persons with disabilities, and that's Disability End, and you'll see the website there, or the link to the website there. And then there's also veterans and service disabled veterans. Though that would include US military veterans, and there is a national organization called NAVOBA that certifies veteran-owned businesses. Then, of course, there's the LGBT, the lesbian, gay, and transgender organization that certifies in that category, and you'll see the link there if you would like more information about how to become certified with any of these various organizations. I think it's important to point out at this point that if you qualify for more than one certification, that actually gives you a competitive edge in the marketplace. So that's a little bit about the WBDC. Sorry, let me go back one slide. Before we get started, if you are already certified as in any one of those categories, and you're looking to do business with corporations or government entities, leveraging your certification is one way to compete in the marketplace. If you're not certified, you may want to consider the various certification organizations so that it would give you a competitive edge. Certification is really a marketing tool that can be utilized to gain access to contract opportunities as well as contacts within the corporate sector and the government sector. So we're hoping that you're here today because you are either certified or you're thinking about becoming certified, and you're here today to learn more about how to leverage certification once you become certified. So I'm going to spend the next 30 minutes or so sharing the benefits of certification and give you some tips about how to leverage your certification if you are certified, and how to build on that certification and creating relationships that can become advocates for you and your business. So there are two types of certification categories. There's government procurement opportunities, and there are corporate contracting opportunities. So when you think about certification, think about where you best fit. The government, the federal government in particular, buys everything, and it doesn't matter how large or small your business is. If you have the capabilities to meet their needs, chances are they may be interested in having a conversation with you about a contract opportunity that they have. So what you want to think about is, what do you provide? What products or services do you provide that the government can purchase from your business? The great thing about government procurement opportunities, whether it's federal, state, local, municipal, city, county, and so forth, they actually post their bid opportunities online. There is a bidmatch.com website that actually lists opportunities. On the other hand, corporate contracting opportunities are not shared until there's a need. And once there is a need, corporations, the procurement folks at corporations typically reach out to the people they know. They're a little bit reluctant to go with new suppliers. So you want to make sure that if you're interested in selling to the private sector, that you've established relationships and you are clear on whether or not they need the products and services you provide. And the way you can bring clarity to that is doing research. Go online, go to corporate supplier diversity websites. They will explain their program. In some cases, they will actually identify exactly what they're looking to buy. Oftentimes, they will also give you the contact name of the supplier diversity professional who will be your advocate in the organization. So if I could just underscore here, it's really important to be clear about the market sector that you're looking to sell to. Okay. So given that we are in a global pandemic that has had an impact on all businesses, large or small, the time has never been better to consider leveraging your certification, or if you are not certified, to consider becoming certified, because businesses of all sizes need a competitive advantage these days. There's a little lag on the slide advancing. Okay. So we're here to talk about leveraging certification and the process of accessing business opportunities. Specifically, how can you leverage your certification and go after corporate and government contracts? So I do want to point out one very important thing to keep in mind. Becoming certified does not guarantee you a contract, but it is certainly a way to get your foot in the door. So again, given today's environment, as a result of the pandemic and racial tensions that have occurred in our country, there is a great deal of focus on at the corporate level as well as the government level, great deal of focus to work with minority-owned businesses. And if you are a minority-owned firm in the US, you are in very good company. There are millions of minority-owned businesses in the country. That being said, it's also a very competitive landscape. So you want to do everything you can to differentiate your company from the competition. So as I mentioned earlier, in the next 30 minutes or so, we're going to lay out two paths to explore. You may decide to travel down both, or you may decide one or the other is the best way for you to start based on your experience in the marketplace and then grow into the other sector. Or if you feel you have the capacity, you may want to travel both of these paths at the same time. So our agenda today is going to focus on opportunities, your offer, supplier diversity and inclusion, certification, the bidding process, and finally how organizations like the WBDC can provide you with assistance and resources at no cost to you. So after today's session, we recommend that you explore your options. if you are thinking about starting an audience, I'm not sure what the complexion of today's audience is. So if you are, sorry, let me go back a slide. Jerome, for some reason, my slides are advancing on their own. Okay, here we are. I don't know the composition of the audience today, so I'm going to address this slide broadly. If you are thinking about starting a business, as you build a foundation for how you're going to create that company, if you think certification would be an advantage to you, keep in mind that you need to consider who the owners of the business will be, because in order to be considered a legitimate certified business, the ownership must be 51% owned, operated, or managed by a minority, by a woman, by a veteran, or by an LGBTQ individual. Those are the designated categories that qualify for eligibility for all of these certification programs. So if you're in the next phase, if you're an early stage business, let's say you've been in business for 1 to 3 years, or you're a startup and you're already established, but you're under 3 years. Just determine how you can add value to a company that is already holding a contract. Consider exploring subcontracting opportunities. And the reason I recommend this strategy is because of something I mentioned earlier. Buyers are reluctant to bring in new and unknown suppliers. If you think about it, whether it's a federal government or a corporation, they are already buying from an established business that they've had a relationship with for either a short term or a long term. So there needs to be a compelling reason for them to make a change from their existing supplier to a new supplier. Being diverse is a good reason for them to consider you, but it's not enough of a reason for them to actually change who they're currently doing business with. So one way to get around that is to consider subcontracting. Let's say you are looking to sell to Blue Cross Blue Shield, and Blue Cross Blue Shield has a contract with United Airlines to provide healthcare information and services. Because United Airlines has a contract with the federal government, United Airlines will require Blue Cross Blue Shield to report whatever Blue Cross Blue Shield spends with diverse firms. And we call that Tier 2 contracting. So if I have a janitorial services business and I am doing work with Blue Cross Blue Shield, Blue Cross Blue Shield is going to report their spend with me to United Airlines as United's prime contractor for that healthcare as a healthcare provider. So that Tier 2 is an excellent way for you to get your foot in the door by working with an existing prime company. It does a couple of things for you. It gives you exposure. It gives you experience in the early stage of your business. It also minimizes your risk because you are not carrying that receivable. The prime, or in this case, in my example, Blue Cross Blue Shield is carrying that receivable. So there are a lot of benefits to consider Tier 2 contracting as a way to grow your business. I have worked with clients who have built a business entirely on Tier 2 contracting opportunities. For those of you who might be in the construction industry or other industries that would have a requirement for performance bonds, Tier 2 is another way around that because those performance bonds can be quite expensive. So it's an interesting way to get the business without carrying the burden of the purchase order. Okay, and then if you are a more mature business, an established business that's been around for 3 or more years, you want to determine how you can add value. Can you add value as a prime? If so, keep in mind that you're going to need the financial strength to carry that contract, working directly as a prime, or again, maybe it's better to be a subcontractor on that contract and minimize your financial exposure and your risk. So those are a few key points for consideration as you move forward. All right, so, and Jerome just put a note in the chat, please share your questions throughout my presentation. We'll take a look at what's in the chat at the end of the presentation. Jerome is going to monitor that for me because I want to be sure that I cover all of the slides. We'll hold questions to be covered until the end. So as I mentioned earlier, the federal government buys virtually everything, and they have a $4.8 trillion spend. So that's a market that is certainly worth looking at. And contrary to what you might believe, the federal government does pay in a timely manner. And if you are a woman-owned business and you are WOSB certified, if you are women small business owned certified, the federal government has set aside 85 NAICS codes that qualify for women-owned businesses only. And as long as 2 or more women-owned businesses bid on that contract opportunity, the contract will be awarded to a woman-owned business. So that is another competitive advantage of certification. And if you're interested in more information about WOSB certification, you may contact me following today's presentation. And the private sector buys a lot more than that. So there's an unlimited opportunity to work with both government and private sector companies, but you really do need to have a strategy in place to reach those opportunities. You need to determine who your targets are. So let me shift the conversation for a minute and talk about why corporations invest in supplier diversity and inclusion. I want to dispel a very common misnomer. There are no set-asides, if you will, for doing business with diverse firms. Corporations tend to look at diverse firms and smaller companies because they're agile. They are innovative. They can provide competitive pricing and create unique opportunities to solve problems. And the corporations really want to reflect, they want their suppliers to reflect on the communities that they serve. So if I am a Kraft Foods and my products are consumed by diverse consumers, I want to be able to talk about how I am supporting diverse businesses. And on my supplier diversity website at Kraft Foods, I'm going to promote my commitment to working with diverse firms. So there are many different reasons for working with diverse suppliers. Every corporation has a little bit different way of promoting how they work with diverse firms. But if you take some time following today's presentation and just start Googling supplier diversity for the corporations that you would like to target as potential customers, you will see how they are positioning themselves in the marketplace, and how they are having conversations about supplier diversity. And then from there, you want to do some research. You want to look at their annual report. You want to be on a market call if it's available. You want to look for ways that you can add value to meet their needs. Okay, next slide is coming up. So when you are thinking about creating that strategy and how you can articulate the value that you bring to meet their needs, it's important to create a capability statement. That's a one-page statement that identifies your core competencies. What is it that your company does exceptionally well? And when you're creating your capability statement, the fact that you're a diverse firm is important. People are going to want to know that. It will differentiate you from competition. But really, what they're going to want to know first and foremost, what are your core competencies? What is it that your company does exceptionally well? So you want to think about how you position your products and the products and services that you sell. And you want to get that message out there first and foremost, and be very clear about what it is that you do. So here's an example. Karis is the owner of an engineering services firm, and she's saying when a potential buyer says to her, "What do you do?" they don't want a long list of items or a bunch of adjectives or acronyms or vague language, etc. They want to know, how will you add value to that buyer's world? What problems are you going to solve? What solutions will you provide? How are you going to save me money? And how will you address my pain points as a buyer? So you always want to keep in mind how you can leverage what you do to meet what they need. Solving a problem, providing a solution, saving them money is an excellent place to start. And how you do that is doing your research. Look at what's going on in their industry. Be prepared to uh, address address their needs in a way that demonstrates that you've done your research and you're knowledgeable about what's going on in their industry and their industry trends. You also want to be able to explain your value, list the things that your company provides. Some examples of core competencies for a printing company would articulate that they provide promotional items, event display, signage, offset printing, as an example. An artificial intelligence development company might want to focus on the fact that they do prototyping and coding and machine learning. So they narrow it down into a succinct message. Someone who's in urban farming would want to take advantage of the emphasis these days on sustainability, farm to table, employee wellness programs, and so forth. So those are just a few examples of how to distill your core competencies and create a very clear message. Because keep in mind, usually you only have a very limited time to get your message across. Okay. So when you are explaining the value that you bring, chances are you will initially be having that conversation with a supplier diversity or diversity inclusion or business outreach professional. Back in the day, 6 months ago, you might have an opportunity to do that in person, at a meeting or at a trade show or at an event. These days, in the world we're living in now, chances are you're going to have to communicate with them virtually. So you want to give some thought about how you can effectively get your message across in a virtual environment in the upcoming months, because it looks like that's the world we're going to be living in for a while. So the supplier diversity professionals are really, as I said earlier, your advocates. They are a liaison for you to monitor utilization of diverse suppliers in their company. They are sometimes um, measured on their performance to bring new and diverse suppliers into the organization. So part of their job is to connect with diverse vendors to introduce to the supply chain. The thing to keep in mind here is that while they're advocates, they are not decision makers. So they can influence a decision by recommending your firm, but the final decision is going to be made by the buyer or the procurement team. So you're going to want to hone your skills about selling your selling your core competencies and articulating your value proposition up the organization and horizontally throughout the organization. So it's really important for you to remember who you're talking to, or as my mother used to tell me, remember who you're cooking for. So you want to get to know these people. I recommend that if you are certified, that you, if you haven't met a supplier diversity professional at an organization, that you send them an email, you attach your capability statement, and you embed a link to your website in that email. So the reason I recommend this is because they are very, very busy individuals. Oftentimes, a corporation will have one supplier diversity person for the entire organization or a few people on the team. So they're so busy that they're not going to go into the database looking for you. I want you to think about ways to be proactive, to put your company in front of them. And an email with your capability statement and a link to your website is a very, very easy way to introduce yourself. And don't stop there. Following that, you may want to at some point send them a case study or white paper or an announcement of a contract award. You need to be persistent. And I also want to remind everybody, because I like to set realistic expectations, oftentimes you won't hear from them immediately. So because they're busy. So you just want to be professionally persistent in your outreach to them and let them know you're out there. So here we're talking about, I've already touched on this earlier, but business owners that are 51% owned, operated, and managed uh, are the ones that the corporations and government agencies are going to be looking to first in order to meet their supplier diversity objectives. Okay, here's another example of a diverse firm. Latanya is in the industrial supplies industry. And the point here is that corporations typically want to know that you're certified. So if you are certified in any one of these categories, when you do that email outreach or you do your virtual presentation, make sure you have incorporated, after you talk about your core competencies, talk about your status as a diverse firm. That's another way of leveraging it. So uh, this example, my presentation seems to have a mind of its own. Let me see if I can get to the next slide. All right, here we go. Um, corporations are looking to see if you are who you say you are. They don't want to work with front organizations. So there's a very stringent guideline for certification. Uh, Once you've qualified as a certified firm, if you have an opportunity to compete for a contract, don't be surprised if they ask you for financial information, additional business details, or proof of ownership and control. Um, you know, you've already gone through the vetting process and the extensive certification application process. This may be a little off-putting to be asked to provide additional information, but again, these corporations and the government agencies want to mitigate their risk. They want to be sure that you are able to fulfill a contract if they give it to you, and the only way they can mitigate their risk in their minds is to check you out thoroughly. They might even ask for, they might look at your D&B rating, okay? So you want to make sure that your house is in order or your business is in order before you approach these public and private sector entities for contract opportunities. Jerome, can we do a time check? How am I doing? How much time do I have left?
Can you hear me? I'm not sure I can hear.
Jeremy, we
Okay.
can hear you.
All right.
Oh, okay. Awesome. We have about 8 minutes.
About 8 minutes? Perfect.
Correct.
Okay. Here's another example of a client we worked with, and she's sharing that she had procrastinated about getting her certification because she did not want to divulge all the information that's required that I just talked to you about. However, after getting certified, she started attending events. She pitched her business. She met people and developed relationships. And it led to additional opportunities for her. Because one thing, the supplier diversity professionals, they have a network, and they are oftentimes meeting in industry networking groups. They attend conferences. They will actually recommend diverse firms to other supplier diversity professionals. So if you do a good job presenting your capabilities, pitching your companies, completing a contract successfully on time, on budget, and all of the other things that you're expected to do, chances are that buyer is going to recommend you. So that is another direct benefit of becoming certified, because you become part of a broader network and you have people not only advocating for you, but recommending you. All right. So I have found in the last 5 months, a lot of people are submitting their applications for certification because there's more downtime now. And people who have intended to do it but put it off are now doing it because of the many competitive benefits there are to being a certified vendor. So you can meet potential buyers at trade shows and local marketing opportunities, outreach opportunities, business matchmaking events. So I want to pause right here and just say that obviously none of us are doing these things in person. The corporations aren't doing it, the WBDC and my sister organization CMSDC, and as we are experiencing this virtual opportunity today with the LGBT Chamber, we've all pivoted to doing it virtually, allowing people to still connect, but we're doing it virtually. So we are all committed to doing everything we can to keep you connected until business gets back to normal, whatever that looks like. But take advantage of the virtual opportunities And after the virtual opportunities or events that you attend, reach out to folks. If you've seen a corporate presentation, reach out to that presenter and let them know about your business. So here's one of our executive director of diversity and contracts for MGM Grand Resorts. And she's saying she attends the events so she can meet people who are project ready. She wants to see that they're prepared, and she wants to know what makes you different, what differentiates you. So again, it would be easy if you could meet her in person. Since you can't, take some time and create a strategy to begin outreach to supplier diversity professionals virtually. Okay, I just have a few more slides. So here are some examples of differentiators. If you have something unique, a recipe or a patent, intellectual property, you want to mention that in your capability statement. If you have production capacity, if you have large sales volume or geographic coverage, uh, identify that. If your coverage is the city of Chicago, say that. If it's the state of Illinois, say that. If it's national, say that. Give people as much information as you can succinctly to help them understand what the scope of your capabilities is. So your reputation, number of years in business, your influence, if you've received any awards, if you have any unique attributes like ISO 9000 certification, it's just one example. Or if you're a sustainable business, if your packaging is completely recyclable, anything that can set you apart from your competition is worth mentioning in your capabilities statement. You also want to provide a profile of the founders and key management team, because that gives people idea of the size of your company and your professional experience. Also, if you have testimonials from clients, see if they will give you permission to use their name and their testimonial. So here's just another example of a client who talked about identifying your ideal client. Think about who you're going to go after, and once you understand the needs of your ideal client, then create a targeted approach to capture their interest. And capturing their interest oftentimes includes telling your story. As an entrepreneur, every one of you has a unique story. And people like hearing stories. People also like helping other people. So share as much as you can so that people get to know who you are, what you do, how you do it. And oftentimes they're very willing to help you out. So these are some contracting terms I'm going to go through. We've already talked about this. I want to be respectful of your time. So let me, if you are asked to, if you've done all of the things that we've talked about and you've advanced to an opportunity to submit an RFP, which is a request for a proposal, or an RFQ, which is a request for a quote, here are 6 things that you need to keep in mind. Identify who you're presenting to, research the company and the opportunity, ask for any information that can be provided to help you prepare for that RFP or RFQ. Make sure you've got your documentations gathered, your certifications, your NAICS codes, your DUNS number, and put together a type proposal that indicates that you are the type of business that can handle the opportunity that they have put the RFP or RFQ out for. So on the government side, I talked about government contracting earlier. You've got City of Chicago, State of Illinois, and the federal government. These are categories and agencies that you might choose to work with. On the corporate side, I do have a list of corporations who are specifically looking to work with women-owned businesses. My partner sister organization, CMSDC, has a list of corporations that are looking to do business with minorities. So if you want to reach out to me, I can put you in touch with the right people that can give you, can tell you how to identify those corporations for WBEs and MBEs. So on the government side, again, there are some ways to get the notifications, to receive the notifications. The WBDC is a Procurement Technical Assistance Center, or PTAC. We have a team of professionals who work exclusively with helping business owners, any type of business owner, large, small, diverse, or not, get access to government contracts. So if government contracting is your thing, I encourage you to visit the WBDC website, look at what we offer as a Procurement Technical Assistance Center, because that is expertise that we have that some organizations don't. And we will help you search for the contracts that you're looking for. Okay. So let me get back. I already talked about what resource organizations are available. The CMSDC, the Chicago Minority Development Council, has a minority business development agency. They also are an assist agency and can provide a great deal of help. And we often partner with CMSDC. Okay, coming to the end here. These are some industry codes that you might be asked to provide, and I only include this as a sample of what you might need to produce. So if you don't already have them, this is what they look like: the DUNS, NAICS, or North American Industry Classification Codes, and government codes. Again, this is all part of the certification. 8A is another type of certification that government agencies accept. And here is a summary of public sector certifications. So as you can see, there are a lot of options when it comes to certifications. And what I suggest is only get the ones that will help you grow your business, and get the ones that you can manage, because you want to be able to follow up once you secure the certification. You want to be able to leverage it. So planning your next step, be sure to look online for our workshops, for our partner agencies workshops. The SBA has workshops. Obviously, the Chamber, who you're already connected to, is a great resource. And finally, I just want to say thank you for the time you spent today with us. At the WBDC, we are committed to helping business owners expand their business and grow profitably and sustain that growth. We are the Women's Business Development Center, but we serve women, non-women, minorities, non-minorities. We have a number of different program offerings and resources that are available to you at no cost. Finally, I want to mention our newest offering is that we are a international trade center. So if you are interested in exporting opportunities, pardon me, we do have someone on our team who is dedicated to walking you through that process. So I want to thank you for your time and your attention. And if any questions are in the chat box, Jeremy, I will look to you to share them.
Yeah, thank you so much, Cynthia, for joining us today. I think based on what you see in the chat box, it seems like you did a great job of answering everyone's questions. So huge thank you there. We will be able to share this presentation with everyone. Because I know there were some slides that we need to go through, so we will have it available. Cynthia's contact information is on the screen and also in the chat box as well. So definitely feel free to reach out to her for more information and how to get access to WBDC program. So Cynthia, huge thank you to you for sharing this content today and also for WBDC being a great partner to our chamber.
You're very welcome, and I wish everyone continued success.
Thank you. Everyone else, we will take a 5-minute break. We'll start our next session at 3:02. Again, remember that you can order lunch from Drew's on Halstead, Carnival, or American Dollar and Burger. Email your receipt to me and get reimbursed up to $10. Also, don't forget to post on social media as we do have some great prizes available. So tag us on Facebook and use our hashtag LGBTCC. We'll switch over to our next session and we'll see everyone in 4 minutes now. So thanks everyone and see you shortly.